Riding on that steep hill, particularly when loaded down with luggage, decisions had to happen fast. Going the long route added an additional 10 minutes to the ride if you're going to the West Bluff. Or you could take the porch route, which was much faster, but it was also illegal. The hotel owned the road in front of the porch, and the last thing they wanted to see was a sweaty dock porter doing a circus act in front of the afternoon champagne and strawberries crowd. It wasn't what you might call charming, so I went the porch route. Quickly avoiding the hotel guard, who was occupied giving directions to a family of 4, I swerved left, then swerved right, and I was in the clear. He may have seen me through the corner of his eye, but he didn't give chase. As I leveled out, passing the porch, I caught a glimpse of guests promenading up and down the porch to the lovely strains of cello. And I had to say, those strains were seriously lovely. Now, I'm not a person who would normally use the word lovely in a sentence, but it popped into my brain instantly and without warning. I craned my neck to see the source, now intrigued. What exactly did lovely look like? There was something about the song that was more than its beauty. It sounded strangely familiar, and the echo of something I recognized, but not fully formed, like a weird dream. Then it hit me. It wasn't Beethoven or Vivaldi or Mozart. It was Metallica, specifically Seek and Destroy. The style was undoubtedly classy and cello-y. The presentation was tasteful. The strains were soothing. As this was the Grand Hotel, I was also 99% certain not one person on that porch recognized the song, but I sure as shit did. Whomever was playing the song was pulling off a magnificent fast one, in a Mackinac Island sort of way. I wanted to see the rock star with my own eyes, and it suddenly became very important to me, perhaps even more important than the luggage I had promised to deliver in the basket of my bike. I craned my neck and looked up at the porch, which was about 10 feet higher than the street. The pillars blocked my view as I rode, but I was now splitting my attention between the porch and the road, a technique generally not found in the Dockporter manual under best practices, but I'd done it 1,000 times. I looked up again as the music got closer and more distinct, and there she was, Lucky Charms, the Irish girl from the dock and the boarding house. It was her, playing the gorgeous Metallica cello, deep into the music, under her own spell, dressed in a tasteful sundress with a red scarf and classy girl shoes, hair up. But it was definitely her. I stared up as I passed, fascinated and no longer watching the road in front of me. Suddenly, she looked up as if she was aware of my intrusion. We locked eyes for an instant. She'd never seen me in my element, loaded down with luggage, struggling but totally in control. An athlete of sorts, if you squint. And there she was, an artist, playing her music the way she wanted to, rebelling in plain sight, but in her own personal, exceedingly sexy way. There was a bolt of electricity that passed between us, the likes of which I'd never felt again. "Look out!" I heard a kid's voice yell. The impact was shocking, but not life-threatening. The 12-year-old kid on a Schwinn Stingray coming from the opposite direction clipped a load of luggage, lost his balance for a moment, and then continued on his way. I had never seen him coming, but the damage was done. He had made contact with a load that had been carefully and meticulously balanced. The slightest breath could send this payload spinning off into its own orbit. And spinning off it did. I leaned left to compensate, too much, then to the right. The cooler at the top of the load slipped down a bit. The weight pulled me hard the opposite direction. I turned again to regain balance, getting off my seat. Terrible idea. It felt like slow motion, which incidentally all great luggage dumps do, but it probably happened in seconds. I was now riding a bike on one wheel, and it was not my front wheel. But it didn't last long. One pedal stroke later, I was in the air, launched and heading straight for an impressive pile of horseshit. The bike and its payload landed on top of me, locking me into a place in a horrible snarl of luggage and bungee cords. It was, I have to admit now, a pretty spectacular dump. The front porch crowd murmured and looked over. The young kids laughed and pointed, and the older ladies tossed out a few "oh dear me's." I literally couldn't move. My right leg was bent backwards, and my left arm was tangled between the frame of the bike and a large piece of lime green American Tourister.